economy was choking on high inflation, high interest rates, and high employment. Then along came a doctor, Dr. Art Laffer, and the Laffer curve. It sounds like something that you would see at a comedy club, like milk through your nose, but it's not. The Laffer curve sets an optimal income tax level to maximize the tax revenue, and that's why I said earlier that, hi, Dr. Al.
How are you? Good to see you, Glenn.
Show me the Laffer curve here. I said earlier, we're not talking about raising taxes, we're talking about tax revenues. Right?
Exactly. No, that's exactly right.
We don't need to raise taxes. We need to raise tax revenue. We need to get more dollars in.
That's right.
Explain this.
Well, you know what this is these are tax rates here. Tax rates on this level. All right? And this is tax revenues down here. Tax revenues. And the thing is fairly simple. If I taxed you to 120% of everything you earned, so every time you came into the studio, instead of getting a check, you got a bill. How much would you work?
I would work it all.
Obviously, it's zero if you get nothing. You have zero output at 100% tax rates, and you therefore have zero revenue. Obviously, at a zero tax rate, you'll have lots of output, but there'll be no taxes, so you'll have zero revenues. And as you start raising the tax rate, you can see that revenues start rising, because even though there's a little bit less output, you'll still be taxing at more rates. And likewise, if you start lowering tax rates here, people will start coming back to work, and there will be revenues. And this maps out the relationship between tax rates and tax revenues. And this whole range here, which we call the prohibitive range, here, if you raise tax rates, you actually get less money. And in my view, in a number of the taxes that we face in the U.S., we are literally in this range.
We're talking today, there's a study out, 77% income tax. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah, well, that would clearly be in this range. I mean, and especially on upper income people, the more you raise their tax rates, they move abroad, they shift the types of income they get, they go out of business, they defer the income, they do all sorts of stuff, and you just aren't going to get their money. You're just playing art. So if you raise tax rates on the rich, I will guarantee you you're going to get less revenue.
Isn't there something, I saw something, this is about 5 years ago, I saw a chart that shows that it doesn't matter what we do to the tax rate, you get about 18%.
Yeah,
is that right?
That's Kurt Hauser's. It's the Hauser curve, which is a flat line, which no matter what taxes you do, you get 18%. It's
okay,
just
so shoot that full of holes.
It's not. It's right. It's basically correct.
Well, then how come we don't ever talk about that?
Why? We talk about it all the time.
I know you talk about it. I mean, but how come? I mean,
because it doesn't fit their ideology, to be honest with you. They want to claim they can get the monies they need from the rich people, from the top 1%. But they can't. They can only get it from this group of people. You know, when you raise the lowest tax rates up, you will get more money. The Southie in Boston who's working on a construction site, he can't defer his income. He can't change the form of his income. He can't change the location.
Is that why we went after the first thing Barack Obama did after saying you won't get your tax raised by a dime, not one penny if you're under 250. First thing he did was go after smokers.
Oh, smokers are easy to get because they're hooked.
Right.
They can't change their behavior. They're addicted. And the same thing with people down at this end. You know, they don't have the opportunities that these other people do.
Well, but didn't Reagan close all the loopholes for these people?
Oh, well, yeah.
77% we've had before, but we had them with tons of loopholes. There's no loopholes now. You pay it.
And when they should. You know, what you want is a low-rate, flat tax on the broadest base.
Yeah. You don't want to pay 77. That's obscene.
No. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. But we lowered the rate to 28%. I mean, can you imagine?
What could we operate on? What could the government really truly operate on that would be shocking enough to?
Yeah.
Did you see this?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. This is the mutually assured economic destruction. This was mutually assured destruction, but they tied all of the economies together. We have to spit ourselves out of this system because all of the economies are going to go down, correct?
Yes, I agree.
So what could we, and I know I'm getting a rap sign, what could we get a flat tax down to and actually survive that would be something shocking to the rest of the world to spit us out of this?
11% on business net sales and 11% on personal unadjusted gross income, and we would match the total revenues we collect today with no Laffer curve effect, Glenn. We would match the total revenues today.
Where does that start?
That starts at zero.
So people who aren't paying taxes.
Yeah, everyone pays 11% across the board.
That's FICA, that's everything. That covers everything. There's nothing else.
Capital gains, estate tax, FICA, Medicare, Medicaid, it includes...
You pay one tax.
One tax.
What did you make this year? What did you make this
Bingo.
year? Deduct 11%.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then businesses do the same 11% on their value added. So you have the two 11%ers,
Okay.
and you can match all. Jerry Brown ran on this as a presidential candidate in 1992 and almost took Clinton out. He ran it. The Democrats loved this when Jerry Brown. Now, his number was 13% because he wanted to have a little bit of a surplus to pay off the debt.
Okay, Art, have a seat.
Thank
Come
you,
on back over. Okay, more with Art Laffer, and we're going to bring in Chris Edwards. He's here. He's the he's the director of tax policy studies at the Cato Institute. We're going to look at the budget and show you what's coming this week. Next.